All right, folks, welcome on back here this Tuesday afternoon, December 21st, heading into this Christmas holiday. Great to see all of us live inside Cyber Group. Donald, Kathleen included as well, Michael, Will, John, Mark, and all of us otherwise live inside Cyber Group. Welcome on back. And if you're joining us on social media, once again, Facebook Live or YouTube, same to be said. So for right now, I'll tell you what, it's been a really nice morning so far. And, it's been a kind of a quiet afternoon. BFRI is keeping us awake, but, hey, that's to be expected. As of right now, the SPY is still holding strong near the highs. This BFRI stock trying to make one more pop, hopefully a lot closer to 13, and then plenty more perhaps heading into the close. So what we'll do is start on the stock, the BFRI trade to begin, and then we'll pretty much just go right from top to bottom. We'll recap any of the other movers that we caught from earlier this morning too. So BFRI, I'm not going to take as much time here because for Grant and Bill and Kathleen, all of us in Cyber Group, you folks were there in Traders Talk earlier today. So we covered this trade from A to Z, from head to toe. I have all my crazy lines in my chart here, which is a little cluttery actually. So I'll zoom in. It's just to say this: 1196 was a really important level from the morning. This stock ended up getting halted, I think, 2 times total. And then when it reopened off the second time, I don't think it got halted on the way down, did it? It ended up just kind of just dropping off gradually. Maybe it did get halted. I forgot. This thing's been through the spin cycle today. Up and down it went. And as of right now, trying to make a move off of the exact level I just referenced, 1196 to 12. So that was a really big print level from earlier this morning. And well, if I zoom out, you could see for the most part, after it broke under it, it did a great job of holding under that price as resistance. Broke under that support line, tanked from it. It ended up actually making a beautiful bounce right off the previous all-time high that we ended up seeing back from late November, right at 1040, the purple line on my chart. But nonetheless, with higher lows, we continued to see direction, and we were hopeful for this stock to retest the 1196 to 12 level as resistance. But we're still pretty hesitant. I would anticipate a false breakout the first attempt, and you know what? It ended up blowing right through that level at first. So the hope is this: when a stock just makes a sudden burst above resistance, even if you're expecting a false breakout, if it runs from it, I would like to think it has a good chance of holding as support. Doesn't mean you place an order on the bid and kick your feet back and assume for that to happen. No, this ended up making a nasty shake under it, but right back over it. So once it broke through this level on the way up, started to make the move, and then right over here, it did practically the same exact thing with a smaller shake to it this time. But it just goes to show strong resistance is now strong support. The news out on BFRI, I don't even think it's like news, but it's to say that there is some article being circulated from Seeking Alpha, and they're not the most reliable with news, but we've seen it happen before where they issue some blog post saying that, based on whatever data they have, that they're led to believe it can make a giant short squeeze and run up to like $40. That's actually the headline of the article that was being passed around this morning. Well, hey, we're really familiar with this BFRI stock to begin. Just look at the daily chart. Really, since it started to break all-time highs going into the end of November, that's when we started to trade it. It trades a lot of volume. Look at this thing go. Nice pop back up here. I would assume for this to false break 13 at first, just like I said at 12 and 1196, but we'll see what happens here for right now. Definitely going to put the BFRI stock back on the watch list. Little suggestion. I wouldn't hold your breath waiting for 40. You know what I mean? We saw this happen. I think it was on GMTX last week, right? GMTX. Look how crappy the chart looks on this one. But it's to say that on this day, where big red candle here, bar, there was a big pre-market pop. News out on it was that HC Wainwright firm, they ended up announcing a price target of like $20 a share. You know what I mean? If you held your breath waiting for 20. So I wouldn't wait for 40. I wouldn't kick your feet up and assume it's going to hit 40. The more it goes, then it's just more of a gift. I would wait to see the first test of a major level and anticipate a false breakout, like I just said. So we'll see what happens at 13. But definitely for right now, we'll keep this back on our list here. BFRI. All right. So what we'll do is just keep going, folks. I mean, the warrants are number one on the gainers list, technically. The BFRI warrants are up 164%, a hell of a lot more compared to the equity. But this is just too illiquid, just nothing on the order book. Giant 40-cent spread. If you trade this after this meeting, you are gambling, and you know that. I bring that up because I have traders that send me their trade journals, and as a new student, we really hammer this point home. You really shouldn't be following stocks as a newly enrolled, inexperienced day trader with this type of order book. It's just a huge risk, a huge gamble, not much upside to it. So obviously, this has a lot of upside in terms of the percent change move from yesterday, but I'd rather trade the equity, the BFRI regular. All right. With that said, RELI. We ended up talking about this at the end of our Traders Talk workshop, our weekly Q&A. Like I said, we went over the BFRI in full. This one, we ended up covering at least a little bit. Broke above 650 off a slingshot, but once it reopened up off its own halt, it ended up completely tanking. So from that point, dropped from 8 where it reopened up, the yellow line, all the way down. You don't want to try and catch the falling knife here, folks. Yeah, I'd pass on this. Maybe keep it on your side list for tomorrow. If there's more buying and signs of life to the upside tomorrow, keep it in mind. See if there's anything looking a hell of a lot better right now. BFRI, we already talked about here. Let me just zoom in on my chart actually right now. I don't like having all these lines showing. It makes it look too distracting. All right, so we keep it going now. ISO just ended up making a nice steady trend earlier this morning, basically from 550 up to over 7. Just thin book right now, so we'll pass on this too. TTMP I knew would have a really liquid order book here, so I love that. Pushing up pretty steadily. There's no reason to not put this on our list, it seems like so far. TTNP. Oh, and really quick, folks, just, we talked about this even from class yesterday, the phase 1 stock course, talking just all about scanning the market and how we ended up building the morning and afternoon watch lists that we have. I put GRTX on the afternoon watch list yesterday, but keep in mind, it was like pretty much right here at this point once I put it on our watch list. After 2:30, at this point, looked good. As soon as we finished up the meeting for all of us in social media, YouTube or Facebook, when we did the audio commentary after we finished up the meeting, we knew that this was just not at all going to be a great trade for us. Once it snapped support here, that's the end of the road. So, just to be said on the TTNP stock, going back to this, it looks great. It looks really good. Listen, after this meeting, if this completely goes the other way, then just move on to something else. So for right now, this looks very strong. I like it. More of a level 1 or 2 stock, in my opinion. Yeah, it looks good. EQOS. It's kind of near the highs, but very spotty chart for afternoon trading. Oh man, this is a shame. I took my eyes off of Jaguar, as I was commuting back home. Once I set myself back up, I just didn't look at it. And with that, I wanted to check back in with this trade, hoping that it would be a lot closer to the highs. Clearly not the case. So I'm going to move on from Jaguar. This stock we're really familiar with. This stock ended up making a couple of big moves going back into the beginning of this calendar year, as you could see. And then over time, just these pops and drops throughout the day, or maybe a pre-market one morning, we catch it. So it's a nice level 1 or 2 stock. But again, just if it's not going to break higher, you know the deal. All right, this QSI stock, Quantum, another quantum type stock. QS, there's QSI. This one here, QSI, ended up making a pretty nice move after the open, at least. But for right now, lower highs. So pass. Got a lot of cheapies on the top of the gainers list, really. I felt like I was kind of just taking my time here, but there's a lot at the top that's pretty inexpensive. So we got to go through them, right? ARDS, unfortunately, this was a dud after the open, completely, broke down below support. There was no looking back, at least up until 1 p.m. Eastern, or even now, trying to bottom out at 3 and make its move back up. Listen, if you're in from 3, nice trade. It's tradable, but I want to see if there's anything that's, moving up higher, at near the highs heading into the close. All right, there we go. Looking for stock near the highs heading into the close. RAD is one of those. So, for that reason, and definitely put this on our list. I know Fausto is loving this stock after we finished, or after the market opened up this morning. We were doing our audio broadcast and ended up making a nice pop. So he was all over this. And with this right now near the highs, definitely going to put this on our list. Now, also, folks, I just want to let you know, I'll pull this up here pretty quick if I can. Kind of not skip ahead, but show you at least what I'm looking at on Benzinga Pro right now. I'm playing around with their own scanner program. So I'm looking at these stocks here. There's a lot of stocks that are near or at the highs of the day right now. I was looking at Space earlier. I was looking at the JMIA stock, Wish, Bed Bath Beyond. So, we'll definitely take a look at all of those trades just at the end. If we have too many stocks on our list, then we'll have to really cherry pick and just trim it down a bit. But for right now, definitely we'll keep Rite Aid on our list. Man, got a bunch of familiar names. I just have to at least click on them. PTPI, the AVCT trade, all of those from at least the last week and a half. AVCT was looking pretty good up until just a moment ago. It needs to make a really hard pop to convince me here. It's got a bunch of volume on the book, maybe too much volume for that matter. So, it's very tradable, but I just want to see if there's anything looking a little bit sharper to the upside right now. Shoot, my scanner ended up just my gainers list just refreshed on me. Lost my spot. All right, so we keep it going, keep it moving. That's my famous line now. IQ, familiar name. It's just like so flat though here at this point. It's like just moving sideways completely. Same with GOED, the Wish trade I referenced earlier. You could say this is really slow moving too. So it's really hard for me to put these on our watch list if they're this slow, if there's this much volume on the book it has to cut through. I love the trend. I like the fact that it's at the highs, but it's like you have to almost ask for a little less volume on the book because this is like too much. It's going to be like watching the grass grow here, it seems. The only thing about this Wish trade that I do like in terms of a potential continued move up, if it's not today, maybe it's just across this week or next week. But as a new IPO, this stock got slammed. So you got to figure at some point the shorts are going to be covering. I don't know when that's going to be, folks. Don't hold your breath waiting for that. But nonetheless, just for a stock to drop and drop and drop and drop, at some point, these shorts have got to cover. So we'll likely have Wish making a really big pop at some point. We don't know when that will be. Hopefully tomorrow or this week. Dave and Buster's, just wanted to look at it quick. It's near the highs, but very thinly traded right now in the order book. Pass on this too. Saba, I skipped over Saba. This was also one from the morning that made a really nice pop early on. This one's not doing too good here now. All right, we'll pass. All right, that's it, folks. Let's jump over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. The ALDX, not looking too good to the upside, that's for sure. It is shortable. I don't know if it's at the all-time lows. Got an email coming in. Nonetheless, right now, ALDX, let's take a look here. I mean, you know what? Hey, it's actually making a nice little move off of the last peak, a little lower high action there. Trying to pull back and break below 350. It's not at all-time lows there. That would have piqued my curiosity a little bit more, like the BFRI breaking all-time highs this morning, and hopefully continuing to go. But we'll see if there's anything else. EQST flat, market's up, so we're not going to find a whole lot on the loser side here, right? I mean, hence why I was just showing you a lot of those side list stocks like Space and maybe the Wish trade, and I got CGC here too, Canopy Growth. We'll look at that one also here coming up. Maybe SEAC, familiar name, a nice level 1 or level 2 stock perhaps. Yeah, trying to inch back up, but not a whole lot to it. All right, let me just jump through my side list here, folks. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%, then type it in the chat board. Definitely let me know. I definitely got a few here myself. All right, so PTPI did make a little move off of 4. I'm not as likely to put this on our main watch list now. It already made such a big move up and down. Just gonna flip through what I see here on my Benzinga Pro screen here. So maybe not all of these are at the highs, but some of these are pushing up a little bit here. BTU up near 10%. Nice steady trend off the lows. Not the fastest mover out there, but you know what? We're familiar with the stock, so I'd rather follow that for right now. This CGC trade looks pretty good. I like this one even the most. So we'll definitely add CGC. Just making a little bit more of a lively move up to its highs right now. Tell you what, I need new contacts. PSFE pretty slow. Skills, SKLZ, making lower highs right now. I feel like that one is more so done, at least for the meantime. Bed Bath Beyond, not a whole lot happening now. Space at the highs, but stuck. Pretty range bound. So for right now, that CGC didn't look too bad. I'll look at some of the other pot stocks while we're at it. Maybe a Tilray, maybe an Aurora. Ooh, some buying coming in on this ACB, but trend's flat, so you don't know if that's going to be continuation or not. If the entire sector then begins to go, I would say the CGC looks the strongest. Another short squeeze candidate too at some point. All right, I think that's just about all you got for me here, folks, today. If there's anything else, definitely let me know. I will slip BTU on our list at the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry, from BJ. What do you think of Jaguar bounce play, or it will be done? It's done. You can just tell right away. Not to sound blunt with that, but you don't want to try and catch the falling knife. AHPI popping up on my Benzinga feed. Little pop over or near 8% move. Trading just over half a milli. That's not a whole lot at this time of the day. I like the pop, and we are familiar with this stock to a degree. If it ends up showing more signs of life after this meeting, then we'll be more keen to call it out. But I like this list so far. GRTX not doing a whole lot here. Yeah, I think that's just about it, folks. Had a little pop in Bitcoin over the last 24 hours. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. No Bitcoin today, but little move, tiny, slightly encouraging. All right, folks, but with that in mind, we're going to call it for right now. I'm going to jump onto a coaching call coming up at 3 o'clock. I'll be back on the mic for all of us here at Cyber Group at 3:30. For all of us on YouTube or Facebook Live, as always, I appreciate you joining us each and every day, each and every afternoon with myself. If you'd like to learn more about Cyber Trading University, you do have two options. If you're not ready to join our live trading room just yet, but would rather send a quick question or email, send it right over to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. If you wanted to continue our audio commentary heading into the market close, or at least join on for next week, or even going into the new year, just go right down to the link on the banner below the stream just to get yourself started. All right. I'll talk to you all coming up at 3:30 later on today. Take care.